For decades, no one really believed that the cemetery that sits behind my shoulder here was the only place where people were buried here at Sacred Heart Church in Bowie. This church goes back to the 1700s. Recently, the church started looking for where the rest of these bodies could be. Most of these bodies, former slaves and descendants of slaves.
A lot of them are simply rocks, and we believe those to either be of African Americans or of the enslaved.
All these flags on this hill behind me, that's overlooking Maryland Route 450, is where a body has been detected by ground-penetrating radar. This weekend, the work begins to give them a proper resting place.
They've uncovered the burial grounds of ancestors, people that contributed to the foundation of the American Catholic Church, that lived, labored, and died on what was formerly a tobacco plantation owned by the Maryland Jesuits. So I think it's important that we uncover their burial grounds and properly honor them.
We knew there were burials in the woods. Some were overgrown and could be seen from the edge, and so we wanted to get to those. We also wanted to just clean up the cemetery a little. And what we found were hundreds more burials than we thought would be there.
I was astounded by the number of burials and the huge area where people are buried. So this is a really large undertaking, and there are at least 180 burials that were documented through that. At least 100 of them are people who were either had been enslaved or were enslaved at the time. I think the project for the cemetery is going to take the better part of 2023. I think it's going to take a significant portion of the year. It might take longer than that when we're looking at sort of long-term restoration of the landscape, and it's something that's never going to end because the cemetery is always going to require maintenance. In terms of long-term archaeology, it's something that I'll start thinking about in a year or two, because it's when you're doing excavation and you're doing lab processing, it's a really complicated and long-term process, and so it's something that I want to be slow and make sure that we do things right from the beginning.